What's a Croque Madame and what's a Strata? Let me show you. Hey, Chef Dez coming at you from my kitchen again, corporate chef of BC Egg. Today we're gonna make a Croque Madame Strata. So a Croque Madame sandwich is ham and cheese and egg, and it's amazing. And a Strata is a savory bread pudding. So we're gonna make a Strata that tastes like a Croque Madame sandwich. And this is an amazing dish that you can have prepared in advance, put it in the fridge overnight, bake it off in the morning, and you have an incredible breakfast for the whole crowd. Let me show you how this is done. So we're gonna start off with 12 large BC eggs. Yes, 12 eggs, but it's a large recipe that will feed a crowd. You're gonna love it. Always remember, every single large BC egg has 14 key nutrients, all 9 essential amino acids, over 6 grams of the highest quality protein you can get. And one large egg, it's only 80 calories. So let's take 12 eggs and we're gonna crack them into a large mixing bowl. And number 12. And then to those 12 large eggs, we're going to add a couple tablespoons of Dijon mustard, which is a classic ingredient in a Croque Madame sandwich, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. And we're just going to take a whisk and we're just going to blend that together. Okay. All right, to that egg mixture, we're going to add 2 cups of milk and 1 cup of coffee cream. That's 18% milk fat. And we're gonna blend that together, and that will create our custard for this savory bread pudding. To that custard, we're gonna add some diced ham. This is 227 grams, which is about a half a pound of diced ham. Then we're gonna do a couple of different cheeses. We have a white cheddar here, grated. That is 1 1/4 cups. And then we also have what's called an Oka cheese. You can find this everywhere. It's from Oka, Quebec. It's a very unique flavor and a creamy texture. You're really gonna love it. So we're doing 1 1/4 cups of grated Oka cheese as well. While we're talking about the cheeses, I also have reserved an extra 1/4 cup of the white cheddar and an extra 1/4 cup of the Oka cheese that we're gonna put on the top of this Strata once it goes in the oven. We're also gonna add a 1/4 cup of fresh parsley, 1 teaspoon of salt. Now you may be thinking, only 1 teaspoon of salt for 12 eggs? That doesn't seem like enough seasoning. But remember that ham is salty and you're gonna get a lot of seasoning from the ham. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. And we're just gonna blend that all in. No need to use a whisk now with the chunks in there. Just a spatula is fine. And we're going to set that aside. Then we're going to take a second large mixing bowl and take a large French loaf, approximately a pound, just under, or you could do, a couple of baguettes. And we're just going to rip this into chunks, about 1 to 2 inch chunks, the whole loaf. This is what's going to make up our bread of the bread pudding part of this Strata. If you have kids kicking around, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, whoever, they'll find it so fun if you just hand them a loaf of bread and say, here, tear it into pieces, right? They'll just think it's the greatest thing ever. So give that a try. All right, there's the last of it right there. And then we're gonna take that prepared custard and we're gonna pour it all over that bread. You can continue to use that spatula if you wanted to mix this up, but I like to use my hands. So we're just gonna get in there. Make sure it's thoroughly distributed, coating that bread, and thoroughly mixed. And all I do is I just press it into a nice even layer so there's equal amount of moisture in this whole batch of ingredients. All right. And then what you want to do, wash your hands first, and then put this whole bowl in the refrigerator for at least an hour or overnight. If you're doing it overnight, then I would cover it. And there's one more element of prep that we're going to do while this is chilling. Okay, we have that bowl in the fridge. We're gonna make some caramelized onions. So we're gonna start off with a large onion, and I wanted to show you this. A lot of times I'll have stuff like this prepped already, but I wanna show you a great cut for your onion. So we're just gonna take off that, what I call the hairy bit of the onion, and then on the other end, you'll have a stem bit. We're gonna cut that off. Sit that nice and flat on the board now, and cut that in half. Now what we're gonna do is peel it. And then we want to slice this thin. And what a lot of people would do at this point, they would take their knife and they would make slices like this. I'll show you. And they would just cut the onion and you get these slices of onion. There's nothing wrong with that, but I just want to show you a different way. So instead of doing it this way, parallel to the top and the bottom where we cut off, just turn it a quarter turn and then just cut it working the curvature of the onion. I'll show you how different it looks. And it looks much nicer too. So if you look at these cuts here that I just did versus these ones, these are like half moons, okay? And these ones here, they're more like, I don't know, crescents. They just look better. They just look more attractive to the eye doing this cut. So it just gives you a bit of a fancier cut. There's no more work to do this cut over this cut, but it just looks better, especially when you're having the onions on the top of the dish and they're gonna be showing. This is what we're gonna do for this strata. So I'd rather have this cut than that cut. So I'm just gonna continue cutting this onion in that exact same manner. You can just leave them in slices too. You don't have to break them up like that. That will happen in the pan. Let's just put that into a bowl. And we're gonna head over to the stovetop. So in a nonstick pan, medium heat, we're gonna add some olive oil, 1 tablespoon, and a tablespoon of butter. Once that butter melts, that's going to be your indication that the pan is hot enough for you to put the onions in. All right, butter is melted now. We're going to take these onions. Look at those beautiful cuts. We'll stir them around, let them have a good coat of oil and butter, and then we're just gonna let them cook on that medium heat until they become just slightly caramelized. We're not looking for a full caramelization here. You'll see them just start to brown, and I'll show you that. While we're waiting for the onions, let's butter a casserole dish. So this is a 9 by 13 casserole dish, your standard cake pan size. We're just gonna take a little bit of room temperature butter. Again, I like to use my fingers. You can use a paper towel if you want to. And we're just gonna get a nice coating of butter on the bottom and up the sides of this casserole dish. And we'll just set that aside. Okay, there's the onions. You can see that they're just slightly caramelized. That's what we're looking for. We don't want them too brown, but we do want them cooked. And we're just gonna set those aside. All right, here's our chilled mixture, and then we're just gonna transfer this into here. So again, I just like to use my hands. You can use a big spoon if you want to, and we just want this evenly spread in our prepared casserole dish. Make sure you have a nice even layer. And again, wash your hands. Then we're gonna take those onions that we reserved, and we're gonna put them on the top, taking the time to make sure you spread them nicely. And then our 2 reserved 1/4 cup each of the 2 cheeses. Distribute that evenly as well. That's our white cheddar and our lovely Oka cheese. I wanted to mention that the rind on the Oka cheese, a nice orange rind on there, is completely edible, so make sure you use it. Now you want to bake this in a 350-degree oven for about 45 to 50 minutes until it's fully cooked through and it's nicely browned on top. And I'll show you, when we come back, how to check it. Wow, look at that. That looks amazing. And I wish you could smell these aromas in my kitchen right now. I'm so excited. So how we're gonna do this, we're gonna take just a butter knife and we're gonna put it in the center, and it should come out clean. And that shows you that it's perfectly cooked all the way through. Now you have to let that sit for about 10 minutes before you dive into it, but you're going to absolutely love this. And what a great way to have breakfast prepared in advance the night before. Make sure you check out this recipe at bcegg.com and a whole bunch of other great recipes, egg tips and tricks. And this is Chef Dez signing out. Where are you getting your protein from?